Hi, I'm Leapfrog.
Hello, my name is Logan Shaw, and welcome to Logan's Story. Today we're talking about one of the first African American basketball players to ever be drafted in the NBA, Earl Lloyd. Thanks for coming. Let's get into it. Earl Francis Big Cat Lloyd was the first African American to play in the National Basketball Association game, born on April 3rd, 1928, in Alexandria, Virginia. In 1950, Lloyd was among the first three black players drafted by an NBA team when he was signed by the Washington Capitals and became the first black to play in the NBA game on October 31st, 1950. Okay, so you heard of Jackie Robinson, but you never heard of Earl Lloyd. Well, you wouldn't be far off. Not a lot of people know about Earl Lloyd as being one of the first black African American basketball players to ever be drafted in the NBA in the 1950s. But you should know him. And here's why you should know him. One of the greatest sports on earth is being dominated by black people. And at least today. Yesterday, it was dominated by white people. But that's beside the point. He opened the gate for a lot of black, well, stars, all stars, in terms of the game of basketball. And because of that, he's never forgotten. Him and two other basketball players that made waves for new basketball players to come into the game in the 50s to on, you end up wondering, why haven't I heard about him? He's not talked about much in history, especially since he faced racism just like Jackie Robinson. But that doesn't change the factor that he is a great all-time gamer, a great all-time basketball player. He's just great all time. But here's the thing. When you're talking about greatest of all time, what do you really mean? Is it him or is it the people he paved the way to play? Well, if you're being honest with yourself, and me included, Earl Lloyd is kind of like the grandfather in terms of what basketball is now and what basketball was, well, then as a result. But whether it was now or then, we still have this attributing factor of what does this all mean to the nooks and crannies? What are the little trinkets to make this a very promisable history? Well, let's go into detail. Okay, so Earl Lloyd being one of the first basketball players to play in the game of NBA, one of the first to make a basket as an African American, one of the first to be drafted in the NBA in the time being, and one of the first ever to be a defensive player for the Knicks in that time being. Why is Earl Lloyd not a household name? He should be. He really should be. Because he paved the way, along with many other basketball players, three to be exact, for other basketball players like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Stephen Curry, all these great basketball players to be part of the game, LeBron James as well, to be part of a game so great. In terms of American standard, that is. But here's the thing, and this is what everyone should take away from this. If you're facing struggles at that time, could you be able to play to the point of your best abilities? Kobe Bryant was able to do it. LeBron James was able to do it. Stephen Curry was able to do it. Was Earl Lloyd? Was Earl Lloyd capable of doing it even though he faced racism every single day? That's something we have to talk about because he should be, in terms of everything, admired for his work. Although he passed away in 2015, he created a way for all basketball players to get to where they want to be. And because of that, basketball had a new face, a new change of game. But here's the thing, his beautiful baby was basketball. Let's talk about it. His beautiful baby was basketball. Anytime somebody told him he couldn't do it, he did it. Anytime people told him his game was off, he made it better. Anytime he couldn't make that basket, he tried thousands and thousands of times to make that basket, no matter how long it took. He was a fighter, the fighter for the sport he loved, and that was basketball. And he loved basketball so much that he made way for himself to make a new change for himself and the game he played. He changed the face of the sport for everyone. He was the best defensive player. He racked up points like it was no one's regard. He was the changed face of basketball, along with these other two basketball players. Boom, boom. But here's the thing. When you're thinking about Earl Lloyd, and you think about basketball, think about the greatest of all time. Who's the greatest of all time? Think about it. Is it Earl Lloyd? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it Kobe Bryant? Is it LeBron James? Who is the greatest of all time? Well, here's the thing. Even though Earl Lloyd wasn't a household name, he was a stellar basketball player. He knew how to change his game, and he knew how to make sure his game was on point every single time, just like any other basketball player would. But there was a certain difference with him in terms of the things he faced, and that's what made Earl Lloyd such a great player. Even though he faced some racism, he was still able to play with as much pride and as much humility as he could. Thank you for coming, and let's get into you and I. Application, of course. Okay, so because of who Earl Lloyd is and who we are in spite of him, what's our greatest challenge? What can we rise above? And what can we make better because of practice, practice, practice? Never giving up. What are you working on that involves never giving up? Never trying to set forth a blockade for yourself, but always tearing down barriers. What is that thing? And what can you do to get to that point of recompensation? What can you do to be the greatest of all time? And that's the thing that's taken away from all of this. What can you do to be the greatest of all time? To yourself, to your peers, to anyone who's watching. If you try hard, you'll get there. If you don't give up, you'll get there. If you keep going over that long, treacherous hill, you'll get there. Thank you for my application. Let's continue forward. Thank you for following the story. Thank you for coming to Black History Highlight. There are more highlights in the future, so keep an eye out for those. Also, the mission is 1,000 subscribers. You guys know me get there by hitting the share, like, and subscribe button right on the screen. Also by hitting that bell. Leave a comment if you can too. Thank you again, and peace.